distinguished guests, and the esteemed experts. I am thrilled to see the incredible turnout from across the globe, with participants joining us from the vibrant landscapes of US, the dynamic energy of UK, the rich culture tapestry of Middle East, and the technology hub of India. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a warm welcome to our exhilarating webinar on security digitization in the cloud managed repeat. Today, we find ourselves in the intersection of innovations in cybersecurity, where cloud adaptation has empowered organizations with unprecedented agility and scalability. Yet, this digital evolution has also brought forth significant challenge in the form of cyber threats on cloud platforms. I am honored to introduce our esteemed panel of experts, Mr. Jaideep Ruparelia, CEO of Infopercept, Mr. Nilesh Waghela, AWS Community Hero Worldwide, and Mr. Sunny Modi, Vice President DevSecOps at Infopercept. Together, they will unravel the complexity of cyber digitization and share practical strategies to ensure a secure digital transformation. As we embark on this journey, I encourage active engagement during our poll rounds as well. Let us learn from all these distinguished experts, and together let's pave the way for future where digital transformation and the cybersecurity coexist seamlessly, ensuring a safer digital landscape for all of us. Before I pass the presentation to Mr. Jaideep Ruparelia, I have a quick question. As we all know that cloud security is very complicated. There are so many jargons like cloud workload protection, DevSecOps, security in the cloud, security of the cloud. So my question to you is, can it be simplified?
Thanks, Mika, for setting the context, asking the question, and warm welcome to everybody who has joined across the globe. Thank you so much. So, to answer your question, I have an image where we can see an actor. I'm sure people have joined from different parts of the world, so everybody won't be knowing this particular movie and this particular actor. But the story behind the scene is that he makes a mistake, and as he makes mistake, there are adversaries who hits him, and then after making mistake again he's making mistake of doing a wrong patching. So to simplify for all, the mistakes that we make in cloud security is we don't understand cloud the way we should understand. We don't start our security journey the way it should be start, and uh, during the overall production also you make mistakes, and once you have an incident, you are again doing a wrong patching. So that's the major challenge that we have seen with most of the cloud customers trying to do cloud security. So that's the reason we thought to start with this image and set the base for all of us. Even before starting the cloud security and simplifying it, thought to start with how the digital world itself has evolved since 1960, when we saw that terminal server, which was mainly the mainframe applications from where it started. Then we saw that in 1970, it was more of a multiple distributed server. We started seeing desktop applications being used by the lot of customers to digitize their businesses. Later on, we see a lot of large individual servers, client server based applications started evolving. Then multiple distributed servers, the evolution of the World Wide Web also started 1990. Since 2000, we see a lot of high density server farms, the internet applications being used. And then later on, we started hearing virtualization as the next level of innovation, which actually helped to build the cloud also as a journey. So 2010 onwards, we saw a lot of applications started getting virtualized. And then since 2017, we see that a lot of customers worldwide started talking about different clouds, mainly AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle, and also digitize their industry. There is a lot of usage of the OT as well as IoT. So the entire landscape has evolved from the terminal server to the larger cloud and the OT IoT dependent applications. Um, with all the digital evolution, cyber attack also has evolved. Initially, we see in terminal server there were less of cyber attacks because it was specifically designed with very much of need to know principles, where it's very difficult to get inside those systems, and systems are specially designed to serve a particular purpose. Then later on, from 1970 to 1990, everybody saw that there were a lot of different kinds of virus, which was generation one of the cyber attack, which started. Then we saw the generation two, which was more of a network attack, where people started seeing that a lot of networks itself were getting hacked instead of single desktop or single server. The entire network started getting. Then later on, we see that applications being attacked as well. A lot of different kind of application being built were attacked with a different purpose. And then now the way we see cloud and the overall OT IoT environment, we see larger attacks which are happening, which has different level of payloads, and we call it as mega attacks also. And with the cybersecurity evolution, the cybersecurity also has to evolve. So the good part of the terminal server was it was very restricted access. For antivirus, it was more of uh, for protecting the virus, it was more of antivirus and the firewalls as a generation in the cybersecurity. And then we saw DLP solutions, the IPS solutions being used for protecting the network attacks. It was EPT kind of solution. And currently, people talk a lot about detection and response since many years now. But the way we see that we need to change the mindset and the way we need to start thinking about security of the cloud, security in the cloud is we need to literally digitize the way the digital transformation is going on. We need to have the security digitization where we have the approach of code, manage, and repeat. So that's just three simple steps that we try to bring for all the cloud customers. And a little background of what we do at Infopercept. Infopercept is an IP-led managed security services company. We have our own platform, which is known as InvenSense. And for cloud security, we have an approach which is code, manage, and repeat. And most importantly, as cybersecurity, we understand both the worlds, which is the offensive as well as defensive. So we'll see Infopercept talking about cybersecurity with attacker's mind and defender's brain. So that's the background of Infopercept. Cloud has helped all the many business rather than all business because some of the business have transformed, some of the business are transforming, and some of the business will transform. So everybody has to digitally transform. But in this journey, when the business is getting transformed, there's a lot of complexity getting added in terms of the cybersecurity requirements and its management. But definitely there is a need to simplify, and that's where we have the process of code, manage, and repeat. So even before getting into the overall process, I just try to talk about few problems that we see. So as Mika already started saying about security of the cloud and security in the cloud. So there is a myth, there is a perception where people think that once you are on cloud, you are secure, which everybody nowadays themselves understand that, yeah, there are certain aspects of a security which is taken care by the platform, which is the cloud service provider, and all the workloads that you form, all the data that you bring, all the applications that you bring, the security of your own data is the responsibility of the customer. So that's the problem statement which is there, where you have a shared responsibility rather than dependent on the cloud service provider. Then talking about the overall digital evolution in my very first slide, and then relating it to the modern apps. Earlier, it was very simple that you used to build your app with a monolithic kind of environment where you have one server or a virtualized server on which you install your app server and build your apps. But now there are various ways to build your applications also in terms of monolithic way of building an apps, which is again possible on your cloud. Second is you use dynamic servers. Then everybody talks about container, which is more used in the cloud environments, and then the serverless. So there are various different ways by which the modern apps are being designed. So again, possibility of creating apps with different option is leading its complexity on its own, and the speed that we see with the development with the CI/CD. Everybody talks about CI/CD, the speed, the advantages, but then it brings so much of complexity. If we look at the microservices of the Amazon.com, the Netflix, and there is so much of microservices being built, and day in day out there are new codes that are getting commit, and this again brings possibility of getting some or the other vulnerabilities in the environment. So again, that speed brings the requirement of continuous security, which is called as CI/CD security, DevSecOps. So a lot of ways people keep talking about, but there is a larger problem in terms of the CI/CD, because your speed increases, but then it again brings the requirement of security. And we know that nobody talks about one cloud. People want to go multi-cloud, and then all the apps that you build on your cloud, you also integrate with a lot of SaaS-based apps also. So you have various options for your infrastructure as a service, and various integration that you do with the SaaS-based application. That again brings its own requirement to secure the overall workloads and the applications that you are building. So the problem is around multi-cloud and the hybrid environment that everybody is designing. Then in general, everybody has talked about the traffic that comes from the gateway to the application, which was very, very normal till the time we saw that different clouds, the microservices, and the container to container communication. Uh, but then later on, the way it started happening is people started doing attacks on the container. So attacking from one containerized environment to other. So that also it started bringing in new area which was required to secure the containers as well. So the normal traffic that flows from gateway to the application is north-south, and the traffic that flows from container to container is the east-west traffic. So again, a requirement to solve the east-west traffic security related issues, and generative AI related. So a lot of usage has happened around the AI, where you have a lot of privacy concerns. People build a lot of codes which can be used for the offensive attacks as well. So kind of known unknown threats, the misleading information that you have could be intended, unintended. So again, generative AI brings a lot of challenges in terms of security and privacy. So these are few of the problems, just to set the background of problems that happens with the cloud security. And to simplify the process that we believe, both in terms of the solution that we have designed and the approach that we have built, is code, manage, and repeat, which helps you to build the security in the cloud in a very simplified manner. And if you keep repeating, then you can create a good security posture. So that's the process that we believe in. And this has also evolved with time, understanding the cloud, working with different clouds, and we are able to support the customers in terms of reaching the right security posture. So why code level of focus for security in the cloud is important and what it solves. Any cloud that you build, you would need the required IAM security, the network security, infrastructure security, application security. You need to follow the cloud security baseline and compliances, certain policies that are recommended by the cloud providers, and finally you need to do data security. So these are the certain areas that you need to address. There are a lot more, but these are the high level areas that you need to address, and how it can be solved, and why it should be solved using code. Because we all know that code is something that you can always intercept. You can look at whether it is vulnerable or not, whether it is following the required best practices or not. So in general, cloud itself is a very complex architecture in terms of the larger GUI, where you have a lot of different buttons and a lot of different options to build your own cloud. And if you try to build it using your GUI, it always gives challenges in terms of your IAM security to application security, infrastructure security, and it creates more and more problem. So the way it can be done is you can understand the templates provided by various cloud service provider. These templates are following the best practices recommended by those cloud service provider. And from your end, since you are still responsible to take care of the security, we can always try to use such templates to build your infrastructure, which is your cloud. But your responsibility would be again to scan those codes which are available, infrastructure as a code. Could be usage of the Terraform code, the AWS CDK, CloudFormation, Ansible, any other automation platform that you are using. But the way it works is you need to have the code. Code needs to be scanned, and this code should be templatized in case if you are doing your custom codes. It has to have the benchmarking for all the security requirements, starting from the policy enforcement to all the required security scanning that is required, the application monitoring, the reports, network policies, incident management, role-based access control needs to be considered, and the required resource controls and the third-party integration. So everything needs to be completely templatized, and when you are about to run this codes, you need to again scan so that you again validate, and these codes can help you to build the required cloud infrastructure. So this is just an example of the cloud, which is an AWS cloud, but this can happen with any other cloud as well. So what happens is AWS itself has the security reference architecture. It has the template required to build the secured AWS infrastructure also. So with this code, which we saw in the previous slide, the entire cloud can be formed, entire architecture can be formed, the image that you see in front of us, which allows you to have different OU for managing your IAM, and OU to do your infrastructure, OU to do your security, OU for your application workloads. So this architecture allows you to segregate your different the kind of applications that you are building, from your infrastructure to your security to the business applications that you are building. And this gives the default baseline security which is recommended by the cloud service provider. In AWS case, they call it as a well-architected framework. So a lot of services that are to be used, the way it should be used, and the architecture that needs to be followed is by default achieved. In case if you are trying to do this leveraging the GUI, it is always very, very difficult to build such an architecture. And it takes time, and there are large possibilities to make a lot of mistakes also. And coming to application security, so application security again is something that requires a constant effort, because what is happening is you build and right cloud infrastructure, but you keep making changes in your application. Either you are constantly developing or you are integrating with different APIs, but there is a constant effort that keeps happening in terms of the code changes that will happen. So application security again requires a continuous effort. You would be building your own VPC in case of AWS to build the application where you have different workloads and you start building your application with the code. But constantly you need to scan these codes, you need to patch the required security vulnerabilities found in the codes, and you need to constantly monitor this applications that you are building. But application security again requires a constant effort. So people talk about SDLC earlier, and now it's more of DevOps, which people talk about. But if we understand, it's more of starting from the plan and then getting the codes operational, which is the production environment. So from plan, build, test, what you really need to do is you need to start with the threat modeling. In your build phase, you need to do the static code analysis, the code reviews that needs to be done. And during your test phase, you need to continuously do the dynamic application security assessment. So these are all the continuous exercise that needs to be automated. And again, this will always help you to understand and visualize all the different vulnerabilities from your plan, build to test. But when it goes to deploy and then you start operating, you need to again constantly monitor the applications also in terms of the DevSecOps, and this needs to be done continuously and in a constant fashion. But what happens during the plan, build, and test? There is a lot of vulnerabilities that are getting reported. So as you see in this architecture, that during that phase, you will have various vulnerabilities being found from your plan, build, and test phase. So you need to have a platform where you can bring all the different vulnerabilities reported from your SaaS, dust, and the other assessments that you do on a single platform, so that you can visualize, which we call it as vulnerability management platform. So this platform allows you to bring all the different findings from a different testing that you do on a single platform. And then the process has to be that you bring all these different findings, you remove all the duplicates of the different findings, and then you define different workflows and the tasks for various team to work on, because there are different scanning and testing that happens, which is again, as I said, static code analysis, the dynamic code analysis, software composition analysis, the CIS reviews that you do, manual testing that would be happening on the application. And again, in the container world, you will be constantly testing your image from your pipeline. So a lot of findings keep coming. And the way you need to do is you need to assign different tasks, because this is just a process to automate finding vulnerabilities. But what would be required is you need to have a constant patching mechanism also, which cannot be done everything be automated fashion. But what you really need to do is you need to have the right culture, so that whatever findings that are getting reported on a constant basis, you are constantly patching those findings also. So that's the overall DevSecOps that we believe in terms of uh, identifying and then remediating as well, because a lot of time the patching that you see on the build and test is missing, because people do report various vulnerabilities. People are aware about the various risks, but the challenge is that we are not able to patch it the way it requires the patching, and it requires a very specialized skill set in multiple different applications and different environments. So we again believe that we need to have a constant culture being built along with the technology, so that you are able to patch those vulnerabilities on a constant basis. So again, an example where you can have the AWS system manager kind of, so that this helps you to automate your patching as a process, understanding the kind of vulnerabilities that are there, then probably checking. Then you can also do release the patch for the various requirements, could be the infrastructure patch or the application patch, and it can be centralized and automated also. And this can be across different clouds as well. So what you really need would be on a constant basis a centralized patching as a solution, which helps you to patch various vulnerabilities across different requirements and different clouds. So that's the patching as an requirement for making the overall multi-cloud environment more secure, and that has to be constantly done. And um, in the DevOps as a process, you start by doing your plan, build, test, and then when you are releasing it to the production, you'll have the applications being running for your various business function. And again, the security has to be constant. You need to keep uh, exercising the way you can see the image. So in your manage phase, what you are doing is you are again building the required prevention, detection, and response as a overall security ecosystem, so that you are able to provide the security during the production also. So that again requires various technologies, various processes, and a continuous culture that needs to be built, so that we can have the security on an ongoing basis. So as part of the manage phase, what we do is we understand that there are various traditional VMs that you would be using, the containerized environment. Certain customers would be using the serverless, the API driven. And the challenges could be around the code execution of the application, the AI/ML related challenges, and the data security related challenges. To address this, there are various technologies that are available, but most importantly, just to recap, the way we help our customers is understanding both the worlds, which is cybersecurity with the attacker's mind and defender's brain, so that you are able to act as an attacker and you are able to understand the gaps within the overall environment. And on that basis, you are able to provide the security. So when we are building the security, the detection and response, we always deploy in the OU, which we saw it in our earlier example when we are building a secure reference architecture. Uh, you have an OU very specific to deploying all your security tools. So we utilize that OU and deploy the platform. The entire platform covers the offensive requirement, defensive requirement, the compliance requirement, and that gets deployed in the security OU. The platform is, again, I can repeat, is known as InvenSense. So we deploy our platform InvenSense in the cloud environment. It could be managed SaaS, as well as we can deploy it in the customer's cloud also. And I have few slides which are again around AWS, but all different clouds would have different services, and the platform gets integrated with different services that are available from the different cloud. Because a lot of security services are available with all the different clouds. In case of AWS, you have the AWS Guard Duty, Inspector, Detective, the CloudWatch, the Security Hub. So a lot of different security tools are available, security services are available. So what we do is we again work closely with those native ecosystem, try to get all the data and work along with it so that we can provide the security which is required for the cloud. Because again, cloud security is little different than the traditional security. So for providing the required security, the importance of the different services which are available is very high. So we again focus on integrating with those services which are natively available and build the security services around that. And security, we normally explain to all our customer to make it little simpler is there are security hygiene related different tools. So there would be all the different customers who would be using different hygiene tools, maybe on your traditional environment, and some of them could be again used on your the cloud environment also. A lot of these tools would be available in the marketplace also. So you could have your own firewalls, your own email security, identity access management, web application firewall, antivirus kind of solutions, DLP kind of solutions, mobile device management, and the directory service kind of solutions. These are all hygiene, which are very much designed for a specific cause, very specific purpose, and they provide the required prevention. So that's the security hygiene which is there, and there is a lot of innovation, and it has reached to a good stage where it works for a particular purpose, and it also provides the required prevention. But the challenge that we have seen is because the adversaries have always been very creative, and they have been able to bypass, they've been able to look at the mistakes that you make, the configuration mistakes that we would make, the code mistakes that we would make, the integration mistakes, and they are able to um, attack the environment and able to do the kind of damage in terms of the data exfiltration, sometimes also doing the ransomware, etc. In those cases, achieving 100% security, as we all know, is not possible. So what you really need to focus is build your own detection and response. So what we have is our first solution where we have the defender's brain, which we call it as XDR, the combination of SIEM4, EDR, threat intel, threat exchange, case management. And since we are an IP-led managed security services, what we do is, along with this technology, we also provide the required services in terms of the threat intelligence, the compromise assessments, the security incident management, forensics, doing the device monitoring on an ongoing basis. So that's the kind of IP-led managed security services that we provide with the Defender's Brain, which actually helps you to monitor the entire cloud environment 24 cross 7. Second is to improvise the overall detection and response and to act like an attacker. We have attacker's mind. What we do is we have the deception system and the patch management. So we deploy various decoys across different clouds so that in case if we make any mistake while building our own cloud or while building our own application, and the adversaries were able to do certain bypass, we have the option to lure them with the deception which is placed in the cloud so that we understand the kind of attack that they are trying to do. And this also can be constantly done by doing dynamic deception also. And patching again, it is a continuous process. So wherever we are able to find various vulnerabilities across, we keep patching also. So that's our attacker's mind. The technology would be deception and patch management, and we also support with all the services that would be required in terms of doing the dynamic deception, doing the patching. Again, patching, we go to the detail where there is a requirement for an application security patching also. Then we get into the codes, we help customers to build the secure codes which can be patched as well. So it's not just the infrastructure or the native OEM patching that can be done, but a lot of time when application specific patching also is required, we get into the codes, build those codes, codes which are only focused to security, and then help to do the required patching. So that's the second module. Third is where we act completely like an attacker, which is attacker's action as our module, which is a combination of the vulnerability management, which we saw that different kind of testing that would be happening across the DevOps. So vulnerability management becomes the heart of the overall DevOps, where the different findings are getting reported. And then the second is we go to the next level where we do breach and attack simulation. So we simulate certain attacks on the overall simulated environment. And then we have red operations, which is then the automated red team and the kind of very advanced way to attack the organization and see whether the all the security that you have built is working as per the deployment or not. So that's the attacker's action. And again, to support ongoing, we provide all the required services, starting from the application security to all the manual testing and the network security. So that's the kind of services that we provide along with the technology. And then all the customers could be different kind of industries, would require different compliances, and all these compliances would require various risk management, the policy procedures, the awareness, the internal audits, tabletop exercises. So we have a compliance platform which can help to build the compliances effective, faster, and in a simplified manner. So that's one of the module which we call it as GSOS. And along with this, we also provide the required services in terms of the different compliances to be implemented, the overall internal audits to be conducted, the virtual CISO role that needs to be addressed. So a lot of ways in which we support the different compliances required also. So that's the overall platform and the kind of IP-led managed security services which helps organization to build the security posture on an ongoing basis. And little on the container, because that is very different in the cloud environment where you have container to container communication that is happening, and the new way there are different attacks that would be happening. So again, we get into that east-west traffic, not just the north-south traffic. Understanding the Kubernetes security, the microservices security is what we achieve. And in this case, it happens by discovering the application behavior, which is we call it as the learning mode. We learn, we discover, we identify the overall application behavior, and basis all the different anomalies that we see, we start getting the different alerts. And this has the runtime security at the application layer, so we are able to do the protection also. So in case there is some attack that is happening from port to port, container to container, again the runtime protection also is possible, which normally people miss it, and the new age cloud attacks do happen on that. And uh, we work with AWS Security Lake also. So a lot of data that gets gathered in terms of the detection and response as a platform. And there are so many data sources and the different cloud services, which again brings a lot of data. So doing it all on your the native SIM kind of technology or any XDR kind of technology will be little expensive. And there is an option where you can build your own lake, have all the data, which is the archive data or the not the data which you will be using or requiring for security on a very ongoing basis, the hot storage kind, can be shifted to the S3 bucket in case of the AWS Security Lake. And since this is a lake which is again attached to various services, which is Athena, the OpenSearch, the SageMaker, can again query and build your own dashboards, alerts, and the actions around it. So again, Security Lake is something that we have started supporting customers. And security is always a journey, and you need to constantly get the required input. And basis that you need to do a continuous action, feedback, and improvement. So repeat is something that you need to constantly keep doing it. So uh, it's an requirement where you do your code to build the secured architecture. Once that is done, there is a requirement to manage it with the required security. The way I explained with the basic hygiene and the detection and response, covering both the worlds, which is the offensive and defensive. And we need to constantly keep repeating so that we are able to improvise the overall security posture. So that's how we help our customers to do code manage and repeat. Mika, hope I have helped and tried to simplify. And then I have with me my colleagues Nilesh Wagela and Asani Modi, who are going to showcase the practical demo of how this can be utilized. So over to you, Mika.
Thank you, Mr. Ruparelia, for your enlightening presentation. Your insights on security digitization have been incredibly valuable. But before we move to our next speaker, let's have the first poll round. You would be getting 60 seconds to answer the question. The question says, how confident are you in the security of cloud infrastructure on the scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is the lowest and 5 is the highest? Thank you. Now let's turn our attention to our next esteemed speaker, Mr. Nilesh Wagela, AWS Community Hero Worldwide. Dear sir, Mr. Jaideep has covered things under security in the cloud, but we would like to see something practically achieved. Can you help our audience with that and also specify what you're going to show it to us?
Yeah, why not? 100%. Just a minute. You able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, we are able to see your screen.
Slide one or
Slide 1.
okay. So hello everyone. As Jaideep bhai has already mentioned, code, manage and repeat. So today I'll start demonstrating something on how we can securely provision infrastructure with the help of the code, and then we'll maintain that infrastructure with the help of code. So at the very early point, all the security controls we want to try to establish at the time of account provisioning. So that's what overall Jaideep bhai has already mentioned something called security reference architecture in terms of AWS. So I'll also demonstrate in terms of AWS, but security reference architecture is very huge actually. So I'll demonstrate something on a slightly smaller scale, that how security controls are there with the help of Security Hub, which is basically centralized component. So let me, I we can see my screen that AWS and or can you confirm?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
So first is basically infrastructure as a code, how this infrastructure as code is work. So that is something called cloud formation template, which is a file where we write our requirement resources, parameters, and description and output mapping and a lot of other things. Based on that, we upload this file in terms of cloud formation. So it will become a stack in AWS. And then once we run the stack, launch the stack, it will provision all the resources. Uh, those resources are basically can be serverless or can be anything. This is just simple example of how infrastructure as automation will work. So we'll utilize this cloud formation. There are other cloud formation kind of tools also, like Terraform is very well famous. Ansible can also do that. Even we have on the top of Terraform, we have something called CDK. So this is very basic things. Basically, we do most of the automation for infrastructure with the help of cloud formation, and we launch cloud formation template in stack. And as per the requirement, it will be all the resources will be launched. What all resources we want actually, Jagdeep has mentioned, but again, I'm very quickly uh, need to list that all this component will be automatically configured as per your requirement. So that's a guard duty. Then we have inspector. Inspector will guard duty and inspector both help us to find out, the vulnerabilities. Config will help us for detective and protective controls. The rules will be there. Firewall manager will help us to most of the firewall, like security groups, NACL, firewall manager, centralized management of firewall, instead of configuring each and every component individually. Then we access analyzer. This is wonderful services basically. Why? Reason being everybody wanted to, least privilege of the services, but then now we want to reduce, right? In security, we wanted to reduce also the sort of permissions basically, right? There is no simple tool where you can go and find out like what are the permissions. It is not required. So access analyzer also help us to continuous reduce the permission. It will help you to create even the access rules, or rather say permission, set of permission automatically generated with the help of CloudTrail. Then the system manager help us for inventory and paging the part uh, for typical EC2 and containers. And Massive is something like, help us to identify the anomalies. So these are some of the things, basically individual components, which are difficult actually. When you go and individual actually try to spin up the container, try to configure and maintain. So that's somewhat difficult. And each and every component its own best practices. So it's not very easy to maintain all this component and best practices with the component. So we have simple solution AWS has come out with. What we need to do is Security Hub, and we have seen cloud formation. So what we are going to understand is, will I have already spin up cloud formation. Uh, I use cloud formation template to spin up this Security Hub, and security with the help of security cloud formation, all the resources which required by Security Hub. That's what we have seen, uh, around 6 to 7 component that will be automatically configured as per our requirement or as per our compliance. So that I'm going to demonstrate. This is for the single, kind of account that I'm going to demonstrate, because multi-account demonstration probably take a long time. But what about, like, you have multiple accounts? How do you achieve that? So we have something called cloud formation tax set. So this tax set will help us according to our requirement. Like Jaideep has already mentioned SRA. There we have a security OU, we have application OU, we have admin OU, we have management OU, we have audit OU. So based on our requirement, this OU will be automatically configured with the help of stack set. And if you wanted to update something, stack set can help into multiple, all the resources, updation or management or monitoring. Everything can be done centralized with the help of these three services. We can achieve that cloud formation automation with security hub deployment in our AWS organization. So multi-account, something like this. So we have cloud, organization, which help us to provision multiple accounts, but security of the multiple accounts is always difficult, basically. So cloud formation stack set will help us to deploy at the time of when we create accounts, when we provision account. It will all the security controls are built into that, AWS account. So that's very important actually. So at the code, with the code only, we start even account provisioning. That what's like at Infopercept, we believe, and we have customized this security reference architecture so it can uh, exactly match our requirement. So it's a time for demo. So this is a dashboard, actually one of the account I provision security hub with the help of cloud formation. I'll show you the cloud formation also. This is first screen once you log into the AWS account. So this is my cloud formation template. With that template, I provision that complete security hub. One example, basically, I don't say it's a 100% example, but for the example which I set up, because it's generate and takes a lot of time to create our security compliance requirement to collect the data, demonstrate, show the result and everything. So let's see how much we can see. But this is like, cloud formation template. Basically, it is created. And what are the other things it has been provisioned? So, so these are the resources. Basically, a lot of resources it has been provisioned, like, kind of trails, config watch, rules, bucket policies, a lot of other things it has been created, like configs. That what we have seen, config is major part for change management that will be recorded, right? So these are the resources which are provisioned with the help of the security hub. As of now, one sample, one example, right? And this will be the overall outcome that overall this is a trail bucket. So my audit account will have this, and everywhere we can collect the data from one security account, one security hub. You don't require multiple security hub. Single security hub can collect uh, you know all these findings to centralized location. So let's see now what is provision. So this is a dashboard typically, right? This is a summary of security hub actually, and we have enabled basically three things. One is called AWS Foundational Security Best Practices. Generally, we call FTR, Foundational Technical. So this is bare minimum you need to do. Then we have enabled this CS AWS Foundation Benchmark version 1.2 and version 1.4. Though any one can be fine, I have defined like two just for understanding purpose. And these are the finding you can see. The score is as of now not there, but you can see eventually at 24 hours it will be like the score will be displayed. So you can see the critical. It has found this in Mumbai region. Two critical things: 72 high, medium is 231, and 102. This is since this is our demo account. I have configured this very basic things. There is nothing which is very secure. I have found. So it has been kind of found. I have purposefully actually deployed the to understand like how it is, how and where it can be found. So these are the critical, high, and medium findings it can from as of now the current account. And you can see overall 1769 points overall time, new findings. 1769 are the findings totally. We'll see some of the findings. You can see in S3 bucket, we have something called, images, and S3 bucket most findings, then EC2 instance most findings basically. So based on like whatever I have spin up, based on that, uh, just a minute. So you can see AMI also, it has found like some of the kind of best uh, practices which is not followed. So you can see that these are the findings, right? And account with most finding by resource type. So this is account name I have created for demonstration purpose. And you can see the inside AWS resource with it most finding it is 100 plus. AMIR generated the most finding that is 5. And you can see what integration you can do with this help of Security Hub, the Security Posture. Just basically it's a CSPM. With this account, you can see guard duty, inspector, Massey, health board, IAM access analyzer, system manager, and firewall manager. I have not configured all of them, but let's see what other things we can find it out. And these are the controls basically. So once it is enabled, you can see the security score, how much security score, how much it has been, best practices are followed, and how much we are lacking, right? And all enable 289 controls basic. These are the control. And the best part is you can see like, it has been very well described. So you can understand also for what ID it is and what purpose it is, right? It is for Lambda, Neptune, OpenSearch. So all these controls are there. It does not mean everything is, enable, right? These are the controls. The best practices which we have selected, the compliance, like, we have selected 3 compliance foundation, the security foundation technical preview, as well as we have selected 2 CIS benchmarks. So based on that, it will populate this rules basically, right? So let's see. These are the security standard you can see enable 1, 2, and 3. We have 3. NIST is also enable. Sorry, can be enabled. And PCI DSS, if you want, that also can be enabled. So you can automatically find at the time of provisioning account only, all the controls will be set up. You don't need to do anything, right? Let's try to check some findings. So you can see some findings. These are the findings you can see. And best part is like only from security hub only you can disable centralized security hub. Nobody else from that account can disable that. So that's a very important part basically. So some of the like, we can try security should not allow unrestricted port with you high. So you can see it as find it out something which is allowing it, right? This is a fail, basically compliance fail, and this is security hub findings. What it is finds is basically, let's try to understand. You can see it is basically EC2 security group it has find, which is some have demonstration purpose I have created, open for all the ports. It has automatically find out these are the, high kind of vulnerability and the compliance status is failed. So you'll get this report actually. So once you fix, this will be gone. So at the uh, very early time, you can find it out if something is not matching, right? Very quickly. And with the help of your InvenSense integration, that automation automated remediation also can be uh, deployed. So some of the which can be easily fixed, like this security group is some of ones considered to be the easiest one. So instead of like wasting much of our time, we know what is to be done. So automation can be in place, and that certain level of compliance can be automatically be achieved. Right? If it is not there, then also can be achieved. So this is the way actually we can find out. A lot of, according to high, critical, low, medium, everything will be found out, right? And we'll go to the config now because it is ultimately coming from the config. So you can see you cannot do anything with the config because it is provisioned by the security group. So that is again advantage. Nobody can disable it, right? Otherwise, what happens sometimes, like some security expert or maybe administrator have the rights or something, they can easily disable it. Here, it is not possible because the control is with AWS security group. So once security group is centralized, our CSPM will be, very well maintained at the time of provisioning itself. These are the kind of rules basically where we have seen same thing. The rules are in Security Hub. So Security Hub provides this kind of actually hub, and spoke a lot of other things will be there. In Security Hub, with the Security Hub, you can actually call API also. It's not like only AWS. So if we have like we already integrated InvenSense with Security Hub, so what happen is you can call third-party API or APN marketplace or third-party security tools with the help of in Security Hub. So you can call all the API in Security Hub. Custom things can be done. Last is basically you can see security. Uh, this is the JD has already demonstrated, but I would like to add something. We have customized this security AWS security SRA framework, basically customize it. So according to your requirement, we can customize it, and this will be uh, provisioned automatically with the help of when you start everything on AWS at the point of starting only, all the controls will be there, whether it is monitoring, whether it is a detective, whether it is a offensive, uh, or rather say something called uh, monitoring, detective, uh, attacking controls, everything will be there. So this is the main organization from where everything will be published. And this is my OU for security, where our all security components will be there. This will collect a log. This is different kind of a workload, right? And this is security services. And this is my infrastructure OU. So based on your requirement, this can be customized, but it's comparatively uh, if you don't want that practice or that things, that difficult to actually configure. Itself is a all the components are very very uh, challenging. So Security Hub can help us, and SRA framework can help us, and we have done customization also with SRA. So based on the requirement, we can actually customize these whole things, and your security posture can be maintained. So that's it from my side. This is something on one account. Uh, Multiple accounts, we have already done it, but difficult as of now to demonstrate. So thank you all. Thank you very much. This is code. Uh, we are managing our infrastructure with the help of code, and with the help of that code, we are repeating also. Once we wanted to provision different accounts, at the time of provisioning only, we are keeping all our security tight. Our security posture management will be very well be maintained. So that's it. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mika.
My heartfelt gratitude, Vagela, for sharing your expertise in the cloud technology. Your demonstration has given us the deeper understanding of securing the digital transformations in the cloud. Now, let's move to our next bold round question. The question says, which is the biggest challenge you face in your security in the cloud efforts? The options are DevSecOps, vulnerability management, lack of visibilities, misconfiguration, and compliance and regulatory challenges. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our next distinguished speaker, Mr. Sunny Modi, Vice President DevSecOps at Infopercept. So, so you have hands-on experience on DevSecOps. So, can you also show us something in practical?
Of course. So let me share my screen first. Let me know when you can see this, Mika.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. So let me have a very simple example of a static website. When you are launching a static website in AWS, you are having few resources like you are having a S3 bucket and your CloudFront as a CDN. So these are the things that is required. A hosted zone, then we have a S3 bucket for holding static content, and then cloud formation, like CloudFront, which gives me the content of a website. So this domain I have hosted for the demo purpose, and this is just a demo sample page having all the static content. And once we have ready with this, now Neeraj sir has already mentioned uh, security posture and a greenfield project. But we might have sometimes question like, my business is going on, I have AWS configured, it is well running. Now, how can I implement security controls on a running account? So for that, I want to show you a very simple uh, chain set where you can understand that how you can implement when your workloads are already running, business is going on, now you want to implement everything. So let me start with the cloud formation. So in cloud formation, uh, these are the things which I have imported. So it is a nested stack and you can import resources. So existing resource can be imported into your stack and you can form cloud formation. So Amazon knows which are the resources are required to monitor. After this, what you can do, you can write CDK, and I have just written the code. And this is the sample architecture diagram. So it describes how the workloads are running based on CloudFront, hosted zone, and the certificate is by certificate manager, and it is trusted with uh, Route 53. Now again, when we say code manage report, repeat, what is this? Is even this diagram is uh, created out of code. So in case you are doing any change after a certain point of time, yeah, you have to. If diagram is there based on your code, so even your code is monitored, even your code is scanned, and you can manage change set everything based on the code. Another thing is when we import the things, my one of the S3 bucket which was having logging disabled. So AWS and community has invested a lot, providing security controls, providing test coverage for the code. So this is a typical source code of CDK which is written in Node.js. So when I write things, this will compile my code. It takes some time. Now, once code is compiled, CDK sync will generate an output, and this output will be kind of uh, the file which Amazon Cloud Formation can understand. Now you can see the environment is configured as dev environment, and these are the resources that has been created from output, and then we just deploy it. So for the demo purpose, I'm running in my terminal, but this can be run in cloud job. So it can be deployed into CI/CD pipeline, and it will be executed. Yes. So no change has been detected because I have not changed anything. Now let me see. Let me see here. Now one of the ticket is generated that okay. What we have to do is you have to uh, apply the logging to the AWS S3 bucket so that you can comply. Now what is this is related to CDN NAC because my S3 bucket access log was disabled, and as per best practices and CS benchmark, it has to be a logging bucket should be there. Now, as a developer, if I just disable it or I remove it, and when I remove it, then I create a pull request that it has been solved. But if it is not solved, then it will check the code. So again, this irrigation sense will check with the resources and it will see. Now you can see the errors has been found because I have just disabled the checks which should not be there. So if I disable this check, I have to resolve this issue with proper applying security controls. So this can be implemented in your CI/CD pipeline so that you can implement, manage, and repeat the security requirement. So once uh, your resources are imported, your code is written with all the security check bypass because ultimately a job should be running, and then you can enable one by one security controls so that your entire business is running as well as your workloads are running, and you can transform your current current cloud to the more secure cloud. So this is how we can implement. What do you make up?
Thank you, Mr. Modi, for your insightful presentation. Your practical approach to integrating security practices have been incredibly valuable. I really appreciate your contribution. To our attendees, let's transition to our next polling round of questions. The question says, how often do you conduct security assessments and audits for your cloud environment? The option goes as regularly, occasionally, annually, rarely, or never. Thank you so much all for joining us today. Just ending on a good note, security digitization was nicely summarized using three terms that are code, manage, and repeat. Mr. Jaideep demonstrated the strategic aspect, while Mr. Sunny and Mr. Nilesh provided the practical insights into how it can be implemented. And I'm very sure that this simplified approach will make you more comfortable with the security in the cloud. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meeta. Thank you, Nilesh sir, Sunny bhai. Thank you, everyone.